So this chapter of Gachiakuta shows so much with only so little, and it's part of the reason why I really genuinely enjoy not just the story of the manga, but also Kei Arana's writing style, because with such an amazing art style, it really helps that the story and the characters genuinely feel like they all have their own struggles and development that they are all needing to go through. Because while this is a very short little transitionary chapter between all of the madness that has been going on in the ring of battle that is with Maimo, Rudo, and all of the givers, we really did need to see the outskirts of everything that is going on, because this shows us how chaotic the entire doll festival has been, not only now that everybody is released from control, but now that everyone is trying to be evacuated. You have plenty of people that got hurt in all of the struggle and attacks. Most of all, you see so many people's opinions of not just the doll festival, but most likely givers slowly changing in the population. And I don't know if this is going to be something that gets big amounts of focus. We do see how somewhat of discrimination against givers has affected people like Aisha, who, despite having a healing ability, which is one of the most OP things in the series, because a healer giver is able to do so much if you have them as a support type. And if that support type is able to even go into the battle and fight, that's 10 times crazier. While I don't think Aisha may be that type of healer, you really see she's able to bring people back from the brink of death as long as she has enough electrical outlets. And while that is a very handy, very beneficial ability that anyone would be lucky to have, in the very first chapter, you see that Aisha is not only plagued with memories of people just outright denying service from her because they think that they're trying to hurt them with the electricity she summons, or they call her funny names and make fun of her, which is just proof that so many people hate what they don't understand. And someone like Aisha, who is super nice, by the way, just a shy little girl that wants to help people and even would love to use her powers on regular people and save all the people that are injured, but people won't let her. And still, even though she has these memories of not letting her, thankfully, her brother is there for her to at least keep her confident. August is, while crazy in his own right and more than willing to clearly attack people and beat people up if they disrespect his sister, it's something in a dynamic and relationship of siblings that I genuinely love to see, because a character like Aisha needs someone like August in her life, someone that not only reassures her constantly, but gives her the power and support that she needs to be the best person she can be. Because in her mind, she doesn't think she can be the best she can be. And that's what this chapter really seems to focus on primarily, because while we do see a little bit of Aisha here and there and August and how they are also contributing to this big battle in some way is, like I said, very important, because it shows that even the support type characters, even the characters that aren't in active combat, are doing everything they possibly can to help. This video is sponsored by GamerSupps, the ultimate energy and focus formula. Use my code NOOP now for 10% off, and thank you GamerSupps for sponsoring the channel. Which brings us to the focus of the chapter, who is Amo Empool, who surprisingly, her and Fu actually ran off and they escaped and they got away because Fu was given orders to make sure that Amo was safe. And even though Engine was able to give her that small little pep talk, if you want to call it a pep talk, right? Because he basically just told her, hey, this is too much for you, then get out of here. You know what? I understand, but you know, these are the times that are going to make you who you are. And if you constantly run away from them, you will never achieve the things that you want to do. And you see how this resonates with Amo, which is an important thing. While it was very cold for Engine to say this, just like I was saying how Aisha needed August to build her up in a positive way, Engine almost needed to break Amo down in a negative way so she could completely build herself back up. Because remember, Amo's struggle isn't necessarily that she doesn't have good intentions now. Amo, especially with how Rudo has interacted with her and warmed her heart, does genuinely want to do good. However, her traumatic experiences and everything that she has been through early on stop her from believing that she can do good. It's almost a very similar function to Fu, and how Fu literally needs the alternate personality of he to be strong. As long as Fu has orders, he can complete them, but on his own, he struggles to make those decisions for himself without he. And this whole chapter surrounds characters that have lack of experience, quote unquote. But as Engine kind of very clearly beat into Amo's head, you need to experience these things in order to gain that experience that you need, right? Like, you will never get the experience if you don't go out there and try to gain it. You can't just sit around and expect to gain that experience. Something that is completely off topic, but I remember hearing early on in my life, if you want a promotion, if you want to be a singer, if you want to be an actor, if you want to do this, that, and the next thing, you can't just sit around and wait for that opportunity to come to you. You have to do what you think a singer does. You have to do what a dancer does. You have to do what that promotion that you want to get is going to do now. And then eventually those things will come to you. What does that really mean? Well, it's different for everything. But what this means in the case of Amo and Aisha, and even characters like Fu, if they just sit around and wait and do nothing, as Amo sees as she walks around and sees the chaos and sees the terrible things happening, she keeps thinking back to the terrible things that are plaguing her mind and keeping her still and keeping her from actually moving on. She sees Zanka and his bloodied body getting carried off of the battlefield. Zanka, who again is just an average Joe. Zanka, who has no reason to have the courage, has no strength that is comparable to a godlike being like Maimo has created, yet still had all of the courage and strength to stand up with a fucking stick, a beating stick, and smack through Maimo's head and open up a mouth. Did that get him ultimately incapacitated and taken out of battle? Yes. Did that get him looked down upon by his brother and eventually now his sister after his brother tattles on him? Yes. However, at least Zanka is able to live on from this experience, and we know every time Zanka loses, he just gets stronger. He comes back better. And that might literally be one of the best examples of what I think this chapter is trying to get across. Because Amo escaping with Fu here, and Amo walking away and not being present and not doing what she thinks that she can to help, is what results in the final page of this chapter, where the god-like entity, the eldritch horror Maimo, is holding on to what looks like an incapacitated and unconscious Rudo, most likely going to be his final moments alive, because he wasn't able to contend with this terrible, ferocious beast that Maimo has become. And I think this is what really hits the writing and the story home for me, is that you lack the experience, you were afraid to get the experience, and now all you're here to do is watch the tragedy that's about to befall you unless you step up. There's something that is also to be said here, where it's never too late to step up. I mean, obviously, if she just stands there and watches Rudo die, Rudo's already dead, it's too late. But even though Amo stayed away now and was not there for that experience, nothing is stopping her from stepping in now and at least trying. Because if she doesn't try, Rudo's gonna die. If she tries and she and Rudo both die, at the very least, at least she gave it her all, and at least she could say that she did something. And I think that's ultimately what this chapter is trying to get across, especially with the very beginning portion of August and Aisha. Because again, even though Aisha feels like she shouldn't do anything and she can't help, August reminds her that she's the only one that can help, and that as long as she has a support system there for her, she'll be able to help the best way she can. Right now, Amo's support system, the person that pulled her out from the darkness, Rudo, is about to be destroyed. How is she going to react? And when questioned, what can Amo do? What is she going to do? Will she just stand there and watch and let it happen? Or will she do everything she can to stop the sight that's in front of her? I am nothing but excited to see what happens in the next chapter of Gachiakuta. And I'll tell you right now, slow chapters like this, while not necessarily progressing the plot, really do hone in on the characters of the story. And for me, I genuinely love that. And I love a story that isn't afraid to take time apart to give its sidecast time to shine, grow, and make a difference in the story that is unfolding. Let me know what your thoughts are on Amo. Let me know what your thoughts are on what is going to happen next. What kind of Zenkai boost is Zanka gonna get next time, guys? Is he just gonna be top one giver next time after he recovers from this? I don't know, but what I do know is I'll be here every week covering Gachiakuta, so definitely hit the like button, the hype button. Don't be scared to subscribe so you don't miss any future reviews. And also, just so you know, I do cover plenty of other weekly manga like Dandadan, Chainsaw Man, Sakamoto Days, Kagurabachi, Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, so don't be scared to check that out on this channel. And there's also plenty of long form content on the main channel, as well as gaming stuff and story time stuff on the channels in the links in the description below, guys. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.